From an array of complex characters to a mind-bending plot, to an ending still being debated to today, it's time now to explore Inception, here on Story Study. In today's video, we'll cover character development, one of the most complex elements to writing a story. We'll simplify it, however, using something called the 4-part character pie. The model breaks down character development into 4 manageable parts: character dimensions, character arc, plot points, and resolution. If developed together, these points ensure your characters are layered, complex, and most importantly, believable. So let's begin with character dimensions, which ensures there are 3 separate layers to all your characters. The first dimension, otherwise called the what dimension, is what the audience first sees of your character, their surface traits and behaviorisms. The second dimension, or why dimension, is where the audience learns the reasons for the way the character acts and behaves. And finally, the third dimension, or who dimension, explores who the character is deep down, what's most important in the world to them. Exploring further, we start off with the first dimension. And just like with meeting someone for the first time, this is the initial image the audience gets of your main character. In the movie At the 5% Point, we first see Dom Cobb as a skill thief, the absolute best in the art of subconscious espionage. We see him as mostly focused on his dangerous job, but aren't given a reason as to why or what motivates him to keep risking his life. In addition, we also get a glimpse into the troubled relationship he has with his kids, but again, aren't told why or what caused it. At this stage, all you want to do is show your main character in his daily life and leave it to the audience to draw their own conclusions. You can begin to hint at the second dimension inner demons, but remember to leave out any explanation or meaning behind it. Because that's reserved for the second dimension, where the audience learns more of what drives the main character. There are 3 parts you want to explore here, which should be spread out over the middle half of your story. Starting with the gender, we learn at the 16% mark that Dom is trying desperately to clear the charges against him and see his kids again. He therefore accepts Saito's offer to complete an impossible mission, regardless of the risks. Backstory supplements the agenda, as at the 40% mark we learn that Dom lost his wife and can't let her go. He's created a vault of memories and regrets, something he himself said never to do, and keeps her alive through it. This connects directly to the meaning behind Dom's first dimension actions, as we learn at the 55% mark that he feels guilty for her death and believes he caused it. The third dimension character then is one who's overcome his second dimension demons and finally forgiven himself. It's the heart and soul of the real character, the true compass that guides him. When pushed to the limit, this is the dimension that really shows towards the end of your story. In the movie At the 86% Point, we finally see the side of Cobb when he musters the strength to square off with his biggest inner demon. We see him admit to himself, his wife, and Ariadne that he really did plant the idea of limbo not being real in Mal's mind. This admission allows him to gain closure and focus on what's truly important, his kids. He isn't going to let his inner demons ruin his last chance of being with them, and so gives up the memory of Mal to finish the mission. Now the 3 dimensions of your character are developed in parallel throughout your story and follow a distinct pattern called the character arc, but we'll leave that for the next video. For now, I encourage you to pick a movie or novel and follow the development of the protagonist through the story. Can you tell when he or she is moving from what to why to who? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for part 2 of character development.